Hello and welcome to What is Conveyancing Part 1. In Part 1 we'll be covering when is the conveyancing process required, what is involved in a sale and purchase transaction, electronic ID check, requesting documents on a sale, registered and unregistered properties, and requesting documents on a purchase. When is the conveyancing process required? It is required on the sale, purchase, remortgage, and transfer of equity. However, the majority of the cases we deal with are sale and purchase, so now we will go through a sale and purchase transaction. What is involved in a sale and a purchase transaction? On a sale, if we have a mobile number and an email address, we will send notification to the client of their online file by email and text. 75% of our client base choose this option. However, if the client prefers to have paperwork, then of course we will oblige. The problem with the post, of course, is if I wish to send out a starter pack today, the client would not receive this until the day after tomorrow. They would then wait until the weekend before completing it, so it is about a week before I am instructed to act. With our e-way system, we are finding that in some instances, the client is logging onto their online file within hours of receiving notification, meaning that I am instructed to act almost instantly. Also, the advantages of this are that they can print off something like the fixtures and fittings, seller's property information form, amongst other documents on a sale file, complete the forms, scan and upload them to their file, and now I have access to these and can start to prepare the contract documents. On a purchase again, if we have a mobile number and an email address, we will send notification to the client of their online file by email and text. There is less to complete on a purchase file, it is mostly information about themselves. This is an example of our e-way system and of what the client actually sees. Across the top line, as indicated, there are tabs like in an actual file. These are split into sections to make it easier for the client to know where to find specific documents. As you can see, there are starter forms, contract, mortgages, and so on. There are also details of the conveyancer, which include a picture, telephone number, and they can also click on the email link to send them a direct message. We have found that clients are far more relaxed if they can put a face to the person they are talking to. Highlighted here, the Upload a Document tab. As I said earlier, this means the client can print off any form that needs filling in, complete them, scan and attach them back onto the file. They can also scan and upload ID and any guarantees they may have. This of course means again we are not relying on the postal system. Then there is the Case Status tab, which gives them a one-page overview as to where the case is currently at. The client can also make a payment directly to their file. This is a more secure way of making a payment rather than giving their card details over the phone. So on a purchase, the client can pay for their searches, which means we are not waiting for checks to clear. We can take payments of up to £15,000, so the client could even pay the 10% deposit. One major advantage for us is that we can see what the client has looked at. The green tick indicates the client has opened the document and a star means it is unread. We can then assist if they need help. Something we do in the very early stages of the case is an electronic ID check. We will also request ID from the client, and this includes passport, bank statements, driving licenses, and any other supporting documents that might be necessary. We will also do an Equifax call with the client. The reason we do this is because we don't get to meet the client face to face. We are governed by the Council for Licensed Conveyancers, and they insist that we make these checks due to the possibility of fraud. We have had several instances of attempted fraud in the past 12 months. An example of one of these cases was a chap who went to work in Dubai, and he left copies of his passport, driving licenses, and etc. with his son just in case he had anything stolen. His son decided that as he had all the necessary documents, he would sell his father's house and pocket the proceeds. Fortunately, when we did the Equifax call, the son couldn't answer certain questions, which alerted us to make further investigations. Once we have been instructed to act by the client, we can then start putting together the contract. For a sale, we request office copies from the land registry. There may also be further supporting documents held at the land registry that are noted in the office copies. These will form part of the contract along with fixtures and fittings forms, seller's property information form, and the seller's leasehold information form if required. A freehold contract would contain around 30 pages, which would take approximately 30 minutes to check. If the property is leasehold, then the contract package could contain anything up to 150 pages, which would include freehold office copies, 3 years accounts, the lease and management information from the management company, and also the leasehold office copies. So this would take 3 to 4 hours to check. All properties that have changed hands over the last 35 years will be registered at the Land Registry. However, we still have about 15% of properties that are unregistered. If this is the case, we will then need to request the deeds from the client if there is no mortgage, or the lender if there is still a charge. We would receive documents like you can see on screen, and you can see these are not the easiest to read. As you can see from the highlighted section, so when we have unregistered documents, you would have to read a document like this 4 or 5 times to understand what the content is. It will contain things like you shall not serve alcohol from the property, you shall not keep pigs, and there will also be covenants in there giving rights of way through a gate or across a piece of land. When checking an unregistered contract, you have to make sure you report back all the relevant information to the client. Not being able to sell alcohol might not be relevant. However, the clients may have a pot-bellied pig, and if they were not able to keep it at the property, they may decide not to buy. Also, if we were not to report anything back to the client, and there was an issue after completion, they could come back and sue us for not advising them. When requesting documents on a purchase, we would write to the seller's lawyers confirming we were acting on their behalf, and request the contracts from them. The first thing we would need is a site plan. This enables us to instruct our searches if we have had payment from our client. The search pack is another 30-page document that we will need to check and contains important information which we will then report to the client. A search pack I checked recently had information about planning for a major Tesco's. This was within 250 metres of the property my client was buying. When I contacted the client, thinking he was going to pull out, I explained the situation and my client said, "That's okay. The reason I am moving to this property is I am going to be the manager of the Tesco." So when you are reporting information about the searches or even the title, you have to make sure you report everything, however irrelevant you think it is. Thank you for watching part 1 of What is Conveyancing.